Karuna Nandi, Tanveer Ahmed Mir makes an important argument that you're basically putting the onus on the Supreme Court. Even if it's a minor matter of bail, rather than judging on high matters of national and constitutional importance, something as simple as a bail, because nobody else wants to take a decision, complete cop-out, no application of mind, you're putting the onus on the Supreme Court, which is already highly burdened.
Obviously the burden, I mean, I don't know if the speaker before me was doing that, but obviously the Supreme Court can't be burdened with every single, and let's also be clear that every single person who is being persecuted under these overbroad and unjust laws cannot come to the Supreme Court, because it's not that easy, it's expensive, it's difficult. A trend that we have seen, and this started a long time ago, and I've represented a large number of clients who have been persecuted in this manner. For example, the AIB, a long time ago, said something that was thought of and felt to be vulgar and obscene, and FIRs were filed against them all over the country. And what we've seen is that this is a particularly attention-seeking tactic, which is not to say that the speech in some of these cases is not an attention-seeking tactic. And while the Supreme Court's comments on Ms. Sharma attributing responsibility for the violence to her, I disagree with, they did take note of the fact of how odious her speech was, frankly. And the last time I was on your show, she was on this show, you know, being obnoxious, frankly. But anyway, the point is that despite that, should all of these people be arrested? Now, should arrest be an immediate consequence of a cognizable offense merely being invoked? No, absolutely not. Are various state governments, and in particular the BJP, targeting individuals for speech and employing the remedy of arrest at a hugely disproportionate rate, including with journalists? And let us be clear that Zubair was a journalist, and so there is a heightened level of protection that should be accorded to him.
Let Desh, Ratan, Nigam respond to this. It's a poster from a film in 1983. When the film came, nobody even bothered considering this offensive. It was laughed off. Now you've got the police force running, huffing, puffing, arresting someone, claiming that this could have caused a riot, claiming that religious sensitivities have been offended. Karuna Nandi says this is just an effort to try and target somebody whose point of view the government of the day doesn't like.
Rahul, let me make a distinction as a lawyer, which is a very important distinction for your viewers. Supreme Court has said if the punishment is less than 7 years, a person need not be arrested. A notice has to be given under section 41A of the CRPC. And that notice was given both to Nupur Sharma and Zubair. And similar sections are there. And the punishment is from 1 to 5 years. Now, in both the cases, arrest is not mandatory. However, in the case of Zubair, after 41A notice, during investigation, it was realized that he is not cooperating in the investigation, and he's tampering and destroying evidence also. And therefore, the need of arrest has. Please don't interrupt. Don't interrupt. Don't interrupt. Don't interrupt. Please, Rahul.
Karuna, let him speak. Karuna, I'll come back to you. Let Desh, Ratan, Nigam speak. I'll come back to you. Go ahead, Mr. Nigam.
I don't like to debate when somebody interferes. You know, I never interfere in anybody's.
Please speak.
Therefore, the sections are similar, but the arrest of Zubair was on a different consideration. Then destruction of evidence section was also brought in. 35 of Foreign Contribution Regulation Act has also been added, and also the EDs, money laundering, probably may or may not come, because FCRA money, when unaccountable money comes, when you don't have a license, then money laundering is a natural consequence. So these, you cannot compare the two. In the case of Nupur Sharma, after 41A notice, she is cooperating. There is no destruction of evidence or anything. These two cases stand on a different footing. Yes, we can discuss the larger question involved. As I said, when single incident, multiple FIRs are there, then we require some kind of a digital platform of the police, a common platform of the police, or at an all India basis, where such kind of, FIRs come, the first one should be taken.
Okay, let Karuna Nandi respond to your point that he's destroying evidence, that he's not cooperating with the police, which is why he's been arrested, and therefore it's not fair to compare the two cases. Karuna.
There was
No. Rahul Kanwal, I am sorry. Rahul Kanwal, I am sorry. This is not a case of debate. This is not this program. Are you trying to prove that this program is a program for Jubair? I'm sorry. If you are directly discussing Jubair's case, then I'm sorry. I am really hello.
I was speaking to Karuna Nandi. I don't know how you're speaking at this moment, Amitabh Sinha. I'll come back to you in a moment. Let Karuna Nandi make a point. Let Karuna Nandi make a point. I'm discussing all cases because they are equally problematic.
This is no.
They are all. One second. Amitabh Sinha's fader goes down. I'm coming to you in just a moment. Desh, Ratan, Nigam made a point. Karuna wants to counter. Let her do this. I'll come back to you in a moment. Karuna.
I think it's fundamentally important when a case is being heard by the courts not to put only and very specifically argue the substance and to argue it so comprehensively incorrectly and to do it against somebody who has been accused of a crime. That the lawyer of that person the lawyers of that person, Zubair, have said in court that the 41A was never served, that many of the charges are concocted, and there is something that is quite clear to see that if you look at some of the tweets that have been impugned, that the tweets prima facie, the courts will look into it, do not seem to go anywhere near a criminal offense. So frankly, this is what I am objecting to with the people who have been speaking. What I am also saying is that in our current way of thinking and in our current TV and social media, we think about the last 3 days. We forget about Siddiq Kappan, against whom the UAPA has been invoked. We forget about the large number of journalists who are targeted every couple of weeks, and we forget the journalists from the smaller towns, and we forget that the process is the punishment.
Okay.